We've played all 15 floors of the Kelvin Incident DLC in Gotham Knights. We farmed a little bit, claimed all the rewards. Today in this video, we're going to talk about all the things that I like, things that I don't like, and maybe answer the question, is Gotham Knights worth it to download again? Now, the DLC starts off by receiving an email from a name Montoya talking about how she has the deposition files of Harley, Freeze, and Clayface, talking about the prison break, aka Kelvin Incident. She says she leaves them over at the weather relay station, and this investigation is being head up by Mateo Flores, the DA out of Bloodhaven. Now, I'm going to only assume that the cryptic tweet that the Gotham Knights Twitter page left a few days ago, that's who the unidentified male in this picture was. Mateo Flores with the three villains, Harley, Clayface, and Mr. Freeze, talking about what happened with the Kelvin Incident. So if you're wondering where to find these files or where to find these audio files when it talks about the weather relay station, just remember that all that actually means is just open up Heroic Assault. That is because the original Heroic Assault with Starro was underneath the weather relay station in Gotham City. And so all that's really saying is just open up, launch Heroic Assault, and there's going to be Heroic Assault 2, and that is going to be your Kelvin Incident, and everything's going to be in here. So now that we got the basics of what the Kelvin Incident DLC actually is, let's get into the review. I'm going to mix in good things and bad things as we're going through this, and at the end of the video, if you haven't been playing Gotham Knights for a long time, I'm going to let you know whether or not I think it's worth it for you to re-download this game or if you should just ignore it completely. So first, let's talk about a couple good things, maybe bad things, just depending on your point of view. But one thing that it does add is a new gear tier, new gear. And in this new mythic gear, there's actually some new items as well. And of course, this is stronger, more powerful gear, more OP, another thing for you to grind in the game. And personally, if you like the grind or you don't like the grind, that's going to be kind of dependent on whether or not you're okay with this. I personally don't mind a new gear tier just because it gives me something to try to achieve, and it does give me new items. The gear has additional mod slots, makes you obviously more overpowered, which does make everything a little bit easier, but I do enjoy it. Another thing that I kind of did enjoy as well is the boss fights. And even though they are the same bosses, unfortunately, they're kind of set up in a different way to where you fight two of them at the same time. The first floor, floor 5 Reckoning, is going to be Harley and Mr. Freeze. The second one is going to be Clayface and Mr. Freeze. And then the third one is going to be all three of them. Now, with the third one, you don't fight all three of them at the same time. You only fight two of them. And then once you do defeat one out of the two, then the other one comes at the end. So you're only fighting two of them at the same time. You also do get extra rewards. We get 4 different Bat Cycle transmogs, and we get 1 suit transmog. Another thing that I kind of liked about the Kelvin Incident DLC is that it gave us 3 new locations to fight in. Now, with the Starro one, everything was underneath the weather relay station, which was all basically one single location. This is broken up into 3 separate locations, and the first 5 floors is all going to be done over at Blackgate. And so it's like definitely a different sort of scenery, different layout, different vibe. This is where Harley is at, obviously. And so it's all going to be set up around Blackgate Prison, which I do kind of like. It makes everything, you know, kind of unique, kind of fresh. In the game, we really didn't have the opportunity to go into Blackgate except for the story mission, and it was kind of limited, but it gives us an opportunity to fight at a new place. Now, the second place is going to be underground in the sewers where Clayface is, and then the third place is going to be at Star Labs. So I did enjoy the 3, I guess, unique locations for us to fight in. But one of the bad things about it is, well, you're doing basically the same exact missions that you did during Starro. It has repair generators, defeat waves of enemies, activate consoles. Now, all of those things we did 1,000 times during the Starro one, and this one is exactly the same thing. You're going to do all of these pretty much every single floor or at least variations of them. Yes, it's in a new location, but you're doing the exact same thing. Another thing that I really didn't like is that the enemies are very, very limited. It's pretty much only going to be Freaks, which is Harley, and then it's only going to be the Regulators, which is going to be Mr. Freeze, and that's pretty much it throughout the entire thing. There's no Court of Owls, there is no League of Assassins. So to me, I think that's a little bit disappointing. The fact that you do the same exact things every single floor and you have the same exact enemies, and even though that the boss fights are a little bit different, I do like that, but it is a little bit disappointed in the gameplay aspect. I do like, you know, like I said, the overall new locations, and another thing that I actually did like as well was that each floor they were telling a story, right? That Mateo Flores, who had the interviews of each of the villains, they kind of tell the story as you're going through each of the floors. So it kind of builds up as you're getting to the end. So I did kind of like that, because in Starro, you really have no, you know, interaction with Starro. You don't even fight Starro in the actual game. And so just being able to get that interaction with the villains and hearing the storyline of the villains and actually being able to fight a main boss in this, I really did like. Now, another thing that I kind of didn't like, it really doesn't bother me, but objectively I can see it being a problem, is that this DLC is geared more towards endgame. This is not for everybody, okay? It starts on level 60 and it goes all the way to level 80. So I'm sure that there are some people that can't even play this. Like, even though it's activated once you unlock Heroic Assault, which is, I believe, somewhere around case file 5 or 6. Once you unlock Heroic Assault, you can do the Kelvin Incident, but it starts at level 60. And so being if it's level 60, it's going to be kind of difficult for maybe a lot of new players to really jump into this if they haven't finished the story, haven't finished any Heroic Assault. But even though I don't mind, since I am definitely late game, I can see it being a problem, and I kind of wish that they wouldn't have did that and make it so end game for only a specific group of players. I have seen in the comments of some of the videos, a lot of people did not really like, you know, the boss fights, how they have just waves and waves of enemies to kind of make it a lot more difficult when you're facing two enemies at the same time. I personally kind of like the challenge. I mean, I don't like that the fact that it's the exact same enemies that you normally face, but it certainly makes it a lot more challenging when you have not only two bosses that you have to take down, but you have a lot of these regulators with the guns and then the drones and all of that stuff. It certainly makes it a little bit more difficult, but I can totally see, you know, it being a negative having all of these waves and waves of enemies fighting at the same time. But personally, I kind of enjoyed the boss fight duos just because it's a fresh take of, you know, the actual boss fights and then the enemies working together at the same time, along with hearing the story along the way, which was pretty cool. Another thing that I really didn't like, but not so unexpected, is does it have bugs and glitches? Yes, it does. Harley gets stuck behind a wall. Mr. Freeze also gets stuck, makes you reset. I've had matchmaking crashes. I've had the same sort of thing in the actual events where enemies get stuck behind walls and it makes you reset it. So there are certainly bugs in here. Another thing that I was really disappointed with this DLC or this update is the fact that we still do not have a delete button for our blueprints or our mods. There is no inventory management in this game whatsoever, and that's one of, at least for me, one of the biggest frustrations in this game. Having hundreds of items in your blueprints with no feasible way to get rid of them is really, really frustrating. Having to sit here and scroll through countless numbers of blueprints just to try to find the ones you want. And even when you do craft it, they still sit there in your inventory, taking up space. The same with mods. Mods are absolutely crazy. Now, can you fuse them to get rid of them? Yes, you can. But why not just have a simple delete button? Why not just let us be able to go through and delete each of the items that we do not want? So did I enjoy this actual DLC content? I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going through each of the 15 floors. It was a challenge for me, which I liked. I did like the boss fights. Even though it's the same enemies and all that stuff, I pretty much liked everything. I did enjoy it. I do like this game, believe it or not. I know a lot of people don't, but I do personally like this game. There are a lot of things that I don't like about it, but I can enjoy it for what it is. And so, at least for me, I am happy that it's free, which is also a bonus, you know, another good thing that it's not like paid DLC content, but I did enjoy it. Now, do I wish instead of doing all of this extra heroic assault, could they have just added maybe one extra character, say Catwoman, and then gave her a storyline and made it to where every single person at the start of the game can do a different character, a new knight? Do I think that something like that would have been better as far as additional content instead of doing, you know, all of these 15 different floors and doing all of this new gear and doing all that stuff? I think that would have been way better than anything they could have done. One or two extra DLC characters with a little bit of storyline would have gone so much further, I think, and maybe even attracted new players to the game. This is not going to attract new players to the game. So now goes the question, should you re-download Gotham Knights to play this? And I'm going to give two scenarios for you. And the first one being is that if you quit Gotham Knights because you completed the entire game, you did all the heroic assault, you did pretty much all of the gear you have, but was just bored with doing the original heroic assault in Starro and, you know, going out in the city. Should you re-download it in that case? Yes, I think it would be worth it, because that's where I was. I was just bored with the game because I played so much and I got through everything already, and there was just really nothing left to do. So is it worth downloading in that case? Yes, I think it is. If you're a person, on the other hand, that quit the game because you were, I guess, tired of the current content, didn't really like the Starro thing, didn't really like the heroic assault, didn't really like the grind for what it had or the players or the story, then I'm going to have to say no. You know, this doesn't bring anything new to the game. It doesn't make the game better. It doesn't make the game different than what it already was. It's the same exact game as it was before, nothing different. And so if you quit previously because of, you know, you just didn't enjoy it, you know, didn't enjoy heroic assault or how the game was structured already, then definitely don't download it. It's not going to be worth doing. So that is my review on the Kelvin Incident DLC and Gotham Knights. Overall, I would probably give it maybe a 6 out of 10 as far as my personal opinion. Like I said, I liked the game, but there are certainly a lot of things missing. The fact that it's free is nice. I like the new gear. I like the extra rewards. I like the 3 different locations, the unique boss battles. But there is certainly a lot of things to be desired when it comes to the same exact, you know, types of objectives, the same exact enemies, kind of the same gear. It's still bugged, it's still glitched, still no inventory management, which is one of the biggest downfalls of everything. But either way, hopefully this helped you. Maybe a 5 out of 10 now that I think about it. 5 out of 10. Yeah, it's free. It's something to do. But either way, hopefully this did help you. And let me know in the comments your opinion. What do you give it for this DLC? I will see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.